The Honourable John Banks.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
What happened to the shrinking girl?
Order.
Oh, quiet.
Mr. Speaker, this is a...
All quiet. All quiet. All quiet. Shame.
Mr. Speaker, this is a very important bill for this country. It's about our trade. It's about our economic sovereignty. It's about this nation's future. It's critical as part of the WTO. It is critical for the export sector of the New Zealand economy. And it's very important that these matters are dealt with seriously by this Parliament on this night. I first, Mr. Chairman, want to thank the...
So important the government did nothing with it for 3 years.
Mr. Speaker, I first...
It's called working through.
Mr. Speaker... Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable John Banks.
Mr. Speaker, if we continue to hear the unnecessary, unwarranted carping and howling from the opposition while I'm trying to go through these questions, how will we deal with the business of this House tonight?
Can I just say to the Honourable John Banks that this is a robust Parliament, and I've heard nothing just recently that is out of order. I call the Honourable John Banks.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Wairarapa, a first-class member of Parliament and a man that knows more about trade than anyone else in this Parliament. I want to thank the member for Wairarapa, Mr. Hayes, for his first-class leadership of this bill through the Select Committee process. I want to also thank the member, Dr. Paul Hutchison, for his support on the parliamentary government side of the...
Order. I'm having trouble hearing, and I'm right next door.
I want to thank Paul Hutchison for his work on the Select Committee and Tau Henare for his work on the Select Committee. I want to move to the questions because there hasn't been much focus apart from the Parliamentary National Party on what this bill is all about, because the Parliamentary Labour Party don't seem to be much interested. That is why the National Party had to deal with this bill in its last term of office and put in place some sensible provisions within this bill so that we could trade successfully on the global stage without intimidation from trading predators. And the chairman of the Select Committee, Mr. Hayes, asked a very relevant question. What matters should be taken into account when considering the public interest regarding the tradable sector and the provisions of this bill? And they're listed in 12(i)(e). Likely effectiveness of safeguard measures in assisting the domestic industry base and protecting the domestic industry base, and alternatives to safeguard measure, and the effect on the market, including consumers. It's important that consumers are looked after as well, and New Zealand's international relations and trading goals. New Zealand's international relations pursuant to our responsibilities to the WTO and other ethical trading nations that we are working with. The member for Wairarapa, the chairman of the Select Committee, also asked the question, what is the importance of this bill to the domestic industry? And as we progress through the stages of this bill, we'll deal quite specifically with that. The member for South Waikato, or Raglan, I forgive my Henua, it's now called Henua, I thank him also for his questions. He's a very fine member of Parliament and he comes from the trading town of Pukekohe. The trading town of Pukekohe. There is no other trading village in New Zealand that will benefit more from this bill and the provisions of this bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker, than the people of the wider group of trading sector growers and exporters in the members' seat of Pukekohe, based in Pukekohe. And he asked the question...
Order. The honourable member, order. I haven't called the member yet. Order. Point of order on the floor. It's to be heard in silence. I call the honourable member, Paul Hutchison.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm having a great deal of difficulty listening to the Honourable John Banks. Look, and part
order. I've told the members on my left that during a point of order, this be absolute silence. And the point of order must be terse and to the point. We will have order in this House.
I just wanted to finish it. As I was saying, I was having a great deal of difficulty listening to the Honourable John Banks. He was saying some nice things about me and I wanted to hear them.
That is hardly a point of order, Dr. Hutchison. Point of order?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I thought you were going to remind the member during a point of order he shouldn't be provocative, as he certainly was early in that point of order.
That's a good point that the member makes. I call the Honourable Member John Banks.
Well, I want to hear good points, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I've got to say that people watching on the telly tonight, this debate, the safeguards measures bill tonight, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable John Banks.
Will wonder what this Parliament has come to. This is the Parliament of New Zealand, where we make laws in the best interests of industry and commerce that the member, Paul Hutchison, represents in Pukekohe. And he asked this significant question. He asked a significant question, Mr. Deputy Speaker. He says, why is there a bill at all? Why is there a bill at all? The Labour Party opposition must have thought that this bill was worthwhile, because once upon a time, a long time ago, and hopefully never into the future, they were in government and introduced this bill. It was the member for Wairarapa, Mr Hayes, that had to tidy up the bill as the chairman of the Select Committee when the National Party came into office. And the second question Mr Paul Hutchison asked tonight, Mr Speaker, is to update, and he asked this question, why is there a bill at all? And I gave him the first answer, to ensure New Zealand complies with WTO rules. And that is absolutely critical on the world stage of competitive trading. The second answer to that, why is there a bill at all? To update and simplify the regime, including the processes for undertaking safeguard investigations and applications of...
Order! Order!
I could conclude that members of the parliamentary opposition have had a liquid dinner by their behaviour, Mr Speaker.
Order.
Now, I want to finish by saying this. I thought that this bill, Mr Hayes, had general cross-party support. I didn't believe that there would be so much interest. I'm pleased with the interest. I'm pleased that the National Party has got a serious interest in the tradable sector of the New Zealand economy to preserve our economic sovereignty on the world stage. And the National Party members of Parliament tonight, including the first-class young backbench members of Parliament, clearly understand that this government's responsibility is to ensure that international trading represents World Trade Organisation rules and regulation, so that competition by traders in Pukekohe can reach out to the market and do business in the best interests of foreign exchange earnings for New Zealand. And I want to finally say, before I allow some other member to take a call, I want to turn to the officials that have done the backroom work. First-class public servants doing first-class work.
Order! Order. Point of order, the Honourable Tau Henare.
Mr Chair, I know this place is a pretty robust place, and we sometimes get carried away. But the continual barracking is out of this world. And sir, I would really ask you to just have a look at the volume and the continual barracking from the opposition when our minister gets up and does what they have asked him to do, which is answer some questions, sir.
Thank you, Mr Henare. I have asked members several times. This is a robust parliament, and as long as it's contained and within reasonable and within standing orders, then it's permitted. But if it gets out of hand, then I will intervene. Call the Honourable John Banks. Mr Woodhouse.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Mr Henare's point of order was the 6th occasion in the last hour that members have asked, within this robust debate, to be able to hear the Speaker. Now, I would draw your attention to Speaker's ruling 61.4.3, which says it is highly disorderly for a member to persist in interjecting when that member has been called to order. Now, I would suggest that that applies to the collective, and to use a sporting parlance, when is the referee going to go to his pocket, and what colour will the card be?
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Chairman, you have just ruled on that area of point of order. It is highly disorderly for any member to suggest that you are acting inappropriately or not acting appropriately, and, sir, I ask that you make it clear to that member that you are the chair, not he.
Speaking to the point of order, Woodhouse.
Mr Chairman, I was very careful to distinguish between the infringement and the pattern of repeated infringement, which was what a good referee would look at. And I suggest to you that that is a new point of order.
Order. I'd like to refer the member to Speaker's ruling 79(1). Call the Honourable John Banks.
I just want to answer a further significant question by the Chairman of the Select Committee, the first-class member from Wairarapa, Mr Hayes. Mr Hayes asked this very significant question, Mr Speaker, that the public of New Zealand listening tonight on their crystal sets or on their televisions want to hear answered. Mr Hayes, in respect of this Safeguard Measures Bill, asked this significant question. What is the significance of this bill for the domestic industry?
Order.
For the domestic industry. And the significance is twofold. The bill provides a mechanism for providing temporary protection to a domestic industry from surges of imported goods. We will never have a successful tradable sector of the New Zealand economy if we don't have mechanisms in place that we can move very, very quickly on illegal importation of bills that are going to destabilise the trading market of the New Zealand economy. And secondly, what is the significance of this bill for the domestic sector, asked by the member for Wairarapa, Mr Hayes, the chairman of the committee, which in turn gives the domestic industry time to adjust to import competition. We are out on our own on the global stage. We sink or swim on our own on the global stage. The international trading sector is highly competitive, and there are countries out there that will take our economy off the map, out of the Southwest Pacific and off the world trade scene, unless we put in place rules and regulations that mirror the World Trade Organisation.
Order.
And I have to say finally, Mr Speaker, that carping and howling by the parliamentary opposition, if that was the way they behaved at the time of the hearings of the Select Committee, the people making submissions would not have been that impressed.
Order. I just remind members that running commentaries are out of order. And if people want to make a speech, they're entitled to do so. I refer them to the Speaker's ruling 60(5). I recognise the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Thank you, Mr Chairman, and so do I when I shave. Mr Speaker, I think we might be at a historical moment in the Parliament at the moment, and before I get into the detail of the bill, I say that people don't get two maiden speeches. But, sir,